Hey everyone and welcome back. Today we're diving deep into the world of color trends and personal color preferences.
Mm,
And it's going to be fun. And, our main focus, well, one of our main focuses is going to be this Pantone's 2025 Color of the Year. But we're also going to be talking about something called the RAH Color Test,
okay.
which helps you figure out what colors really work for you as an individual. Think of it like this, trends come and go, but your own color style. That's something you can kind of rock forever.
Oh, absolutely. It's so intriguing, isn't it? You have this massive influence like Pantone, and they're saying, hey, everyone, get ready for Mocha Mousse.
Yeah,
But then on the other hand, we all have that shirt in our closet we just can't seem to let go of,
totally.
even if it's totally out of style.
Right.
There's something about that specific shade that just works for us.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit.
Yeah.
First up, Mocha Mousse. Pantone describes it as this, warming brown hue that's supposed to remind us of chocolate and coffee.
Hmm.
I mean, who doesn't love those, right? But does that mean everything in 2025 is going to feel like we're sitting in a cozy coffee shop? I don't know.
Well, Pantone's Color of the Year has a huge impact on design, that's for sure.
I bet.
You see it in fashion furniture, even tech gadgets.
Yeah?
But it's more than just aesthetics, you know?
Oh, really?
It's tapping into the zeitgeist,
Hmm.
reflecting the mood of the times, and definitely influences our perceptions of what's in and what's out.
But wouldn't that mean we're all just kind of following the crowd when it comes to color?
Hmm.
Like, what if Mocha Mousse just isn't my jam? What if I had a, shall we say, unfortunate experience with brown wallpaper as a kid?
That's where the RAH color test comes in.
Okay.
It flips the script on this whole trend following thing and says, hold up, what about your color preferences?
Oh.
It's based on the idea that our relationship with color is deeply personal, influenced by our memories, our emotions, even things we might not be consciously aware of.
So instead of just being like, blue is my favorite color, this test kind of digs deeper and helps you figure out why you might love a certain shade of blue. And maybe even why that brown wallpaper gave you nightmares.
That's exactly it. The RAH color test aims to uncover what they call your chromatic identity.
Ooh.
It's more than just liking a color. It's about understanding this unique blend of associations and emotions, and even subconscious reactions
Okay.
that shape your color preferences.
I'm intrigued. How does this test actually work? Do I have to stare into a kaleidoscope or something?
Not quite, but it is a pretty fascinating process.
Yeah.
So imagine this instead of just looking at color swatches.
Okay.
The RAH color test takes you through a series of exercises that tap into your emotional responses to different colors. It's not about picking what looks pretty. It's about paying attention to how those colors actually make you feel.
That sounds a lot like those ink blot tests where everyone sees something different. Is it trying to, figure out my personality through color?
Well, it's not about putting you in a box or labeling you, but it does draw upon some really interesting science to understand how our brains process color.
Hmm.
One of the theories behind the test is this predictive brain paradigm.
Okay.
Basically, it suggests that our brains are constantly trying to predict what's going to happen next, and it uses color as a clue. So if you've had positive experiences with a certain color, your brain might predict more good things when you see it.
So it's like if I had a great first date in a green room, my brain might subconsciously link green with good vibes.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But what about folks who say they aren't really color people?
Mm.
Do they even have a chromatic identity?
You know, everyone has a chromatic identity, even if they're not consciously aware of it. Some people are very attuned to color and its effects, while others might be more subtle in their preferences. The RAH color test helps bring those preferences to the surface no matter how subtle they might be.
All right, I'm sold. So let's go back to this whole trend versus personal style thing. Let's say someone takes the RAH color test and they find out they absolutely hate brown hues. But Pantone is pushing Mocha Mousse for 2025. Do they just have to grit their teeth and endure a year of brown everything?
Absolutely not, and this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The source material actually includes this excerpt from an Italian study,
Uh-huh.
and it talks about how the impact of color is subjective. It's not universal.
Right.
What evokes a certain feeling in one person might have a completely different effect on someone else.
Wait, are you telling me that my love for bright orange isn't shared by everyone? I'm shocked. But seriously, this makes so much sense. This explains why I'm drawn to vintage clothing stores with their crazy color palettes, while my best friend only shops in those minimalist all-white boutiques We're literally seeing the world through different color lenses.
Exactly. And this is where understanding your own chromatic identity becomes so important. Instead of blindly following trends, you can make conscious choices that
Yeah.
reflect who you are, what makes you feel good, and what colors resonate with your experiences.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light, and it's not brown.
Mm.
So how does knowing your chromatic identity actually play out in real life? Like, let's say you're, I don't know, designing your living room. Would you just throw out all your beige furniture if the test told you to?
Not necessarily. It's not about creating a space that perfectly matches your chromatic identity in every single detail. It's about using those insights to make informed choices.
Hmm.
Maybe you love vibrant blues and greens. Instead of repainting everything, you could bring in those colors through accent pieces, artwork, even plants.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where personal preferences and design principles meet. You can still have a stylish space that reflects your personality, even if it doesn't look like a rainbow exploded in there.
Precisely, and this is where the RAH platform comes in.
Oh.
It's designed to help you apply these insights in really practical ways. It's more than just a test. It's a whole toolbox for understanding and working with color.
Toolbox. I like that. But tell me more about this platform.
This platform is launching in January 2025.
Yeah.
So we'll all be able to experience this color revolution firsthand.
We've got these images and these emotional responses and a bunch of fancy neuroscientific theories swirling around. How does this all translate into practical information that I can actually use?
That's where the real magic happens.
Okay.
Once you've completed the test, the RAH platform analyzes your responses, and it generates a personalized report. This report includes your preferred color palettes, suggestions for color combinations, and even insights into how specific colors might impact your mood and energy levels.
So it's like getting a custom-made color guidebook for your life. Sign me up. But seriously, I'm imagining designers are going crazy for this.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like a game changer for understanding client preferences.
It definitely streamlines the process.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to skip those endless mood board sessions and get right to the heart of what your client truly wants and needs from a color perspective.
But what about those of us who aren't designing homes or creating brands? How can this knowledge benefit us in our everyday lives?
Well, it's about becoming more conscious of the power of color.
Okay.
Think about your wardrobe. Have you ever noticed how certain colors make you feel more confident or more relaxed, or how the colors in your home affect your mood and energy levels?
This reminds me of that time I painted my bedroom this super bright yellow. It felt fun at first, but after a while it just felt overwhelming. I ended up repainting it a much calmer shade of blue, and I swear I sleep so much better now.
That's a perfect example. The RAH color test could have helped you predict that outcome. It's about understanding how colors impact us on a physiological and emotional level, and using that knowledge to create environments that support our well-being.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together. But I have to ask, before the RAH color test came along, how did designers even begin to understand their clients' color preferences? Was it all just guesswork and intuition?
It was a much more subjective process. Designers relied on questionnaires, conversations,
Okay.
and a lot of trial and error.
Uh-huh.
They might ask about favorite colors or try to decipher personal style through clothing choices. But it was far from an exact science.
So it sounds like the RH color test brings a level of objectivity and precision that was missing before. But doesn't that take some of the fun and creativity out of the design process?
Not at all. In fact, I think it frees up more space for creativity.
Really?
When you have a solid understanding of your client's chromatic identity, you can move beyond basic color preferences and start exploring more nuanced and personalized solutions.
So it's like having a strong foundation to build upon. You're not limited by guesswork or assumptions. You can really let your creative juices flow.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, what of those color trends we talked about earlier? Do they become irrelevant when you have this deeper understanding of personal preference?
You know, trends still have their place. They can be a source of inspiration, a reflection of the cultural moment, but the key is to approach them with a critical eye. Just because a certain color is in doesn't mean it's right for everyone.
So it's about finding that balance between being aware of what's trendy and staying true to your own individual style.
Exactly. And that's where the RAH color test can be such a powerful tool. It helps you filter out the noise and focus on the colors that truly resonate with you, regardless of what's hot or not.
Okay, this is all making sense, but there was this one thing in the source material about how colors are physically recorded in our brains during happy moments.
Oh, yeah.
It's like our brains create these little color-coded memory banks, storing away those shades that evoke feelings of joy and belonging.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It speaks to this profound connection between color and emotion.
It really does.
Think about a childhood memory that brings you joy. Chances are you can vividly recall certain colors associated with that memory, even if it was years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I remember spending summers at my grandparents' house, and their kitchen was this vibrant shade of turquoise. Even now, whenever I see that color, it instantly brings back those happy memories of baking cookies with my grandma.
That's a perfect example. And it highlights how the RAH color test can tap into those deep-seated emotional connections we have with color. It's not just about aesthetics. It's about understanding how color shapes our experiences and influences our well-being.
So if we surround ourselves with colors that have been physically recorded during happy moments, are we essentially creating our own personalized happiness bubbles?
While I wouldn't necessarily use the term happiness bubble, I do think there's something to be said for surrounding ourselves with colors that evoke positive emotions and memories. It can definitely contribute to a sense of well-being and create a more harmonious living environment.
It's like we're curating our own emotional landscapes through color. This is powerful stuff. But I'm also wondering, what about those colors that have been recorded during less than happy moments? Could they be having a negative impact on us without us even realizing it?
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
Think about that brown wallpaper you mentioned earlier. It might be subconsciously triggering those negative associations, even if you don't consciously remember the details of the experience. The key is to use the test as a starting point, a tool for exploration and conversation, rather than a definitive answer.
Okay.
Our preferences are complex and influenced by a multitude of factors, including our personal experiences, our cultural backgrounds, and even the current trends we're exposed to.
So it's about using the test as a guide, not a dictator. It can provide valuable insights, and it's up to us to interpret those insights within a larger context.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that our chromatic identities aren't static. They can shift and change as we grow and experience new things. The RAH color test is a tool we can use to check in with ourselves to see how our relationship with color is evolving.
This is reminding me of those personality quizzes that tell you what Hogwarts house you belong in, or what your spirit animal is. It may be fun, but they're not meant to define us completely.
It's the same with the RAH color test. It's a tool for exploration, not a label. It can help us understand ourselves better, but it shouldn't be seen as the ultimate truth about who we are.
So it's about embracing the journey, the exploration, and the ever-evolving nature of our relationship with color. I love that. But let's bring it back to the practical side of things. We've talked about the benefits of the RAH color test for designers, brands, and individuals. But what about its limitations? Are there any downsides to this approach?
Well, one potential limitation is that the RAH color test is still a relatively new tool. It's gaining popularity, but it's not yet as widely known or accepted as some other design methodologies. This could mean that some clients might be hesitant to embrace it, or that some designers might not be familiar with how to incorporate its insights into their work.
So it's a bit of a paradigm shift for the industry.
Exactly. It requires a willingness to embrace a more personalized and data-driven approach to design, and that can take time and education.
But isn't that true of any new innovation? It takes time for new ideas to take root and for people to adapt to new ways of thinking.
Absolutely. And I think the RAH color test has the potential to be a truly transformative tool for the design world. It's already making waves, and as more people become aware of its benefits, I think we'll see it becoming increasingly integrated into design practices across various fields.
I'm excited to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a color revolution.
I think you're right. We're moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach to color and embracing a more personalized and nuanced understanding of how color impacts our lives. And that's a beautiful thing.
This whole conversation has been such a roller coaster ride. We've gone from Mocha Mousse to color-coded memories, from design revolutions to the potential for bias. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the world of color. But before we wrap things up, let's circle back to something we touched on earlier, the launch of the RAH digital platform in January 2025.
Yes.
This is huge news.
It is. This platform is going to make the RAJ color test accessible to everyone. Clients can take the test remotely, designers can get instant access to results, and we can all unlock the secrets of our chromatic identities.
I'm so ready for this. It feels like a whole new world of color possibilities is about to open up. But before we all rush off to take the test and redecorate our lives,
Okay.
I think we need to take a moment to recap the key takeaways from our deep dive.
Agreed. We've covered a lot of ground today, so let's distill it down to the essentials.
Starting with the basics, what is the RAH color test and why should we care?
The RAH color test is a personalized tool that helps you discover your unique color preferences. your chromatic identity.
Okay.
It's based on the idea that our relationship with color is deeply personal, influenced by our memories, our emotions, and even subconscious reactions.
So it's more than just a fun quiz.
Much more. It's about understanding why certain colors make us feel happy, calm, or even anxious. It's about recognizing the powerful impact color has on our mood, our energy levels, and even our sense of self.
And how does the new digital platform fit into all of this?
Well, the platform makes the RAH Color test accessible to everyone. It provides tools for designers, brands, and individuals to apply these color insights in practical ways. It streamlines the design process, it fosters collaboration, and ultimately leads to more satisfying outcomes for everyone involved.
So we're talking about a revolution in the way we think about and use color.
I think that's a fair assessment. We're moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach to color and embracing a more nuanced and individualized understanding of how color impacts our lives.
And what about Pantone's 2025 Color of the Year Mocha Mousse? Does it still hold any relevance in this new era of personalized color?
Trends can be fun and inspiring, but they shouldn't dictate our personal preferences. The RAH Color test empowers us to say, hey, this is what works for me. It's about finding that sweet spot where trends and personal style intersect.
So it's about finding that balance between being aware of what's in and staying true to our own unique color preferences.
Exactly, and it's about recognizing that our relationship with color is a journey, not a destination. Our preferences can evolve over time, and the RAH Color test is a tool we can use to check in with ourselves and see how our color story is unfolding.
I love that analogy. It's like our chromatic identity is a constantly evolving narrative, and we're the authors of our own color stories. But we're almost out of time for this part of our deep dive. What's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with before we move on to the final part of our conversation?
I'd encourage everyone to start paying attention to the colors in their lives. What colors are you drawn to? What colors do you avoid? What do those choices reveal about your personality, your experiences, your deepest desires?
Ooh, that's a great challenge. We're all surrounded by color. But how often do we really stop and think about its impact on us? Well, for me, the most exciting part of this whole conversation is realizing that color is more than just a visual experience. It's like a language, a way of communicating and connecting with the world around us.
So it's like we're all speaking color all the time, but maybe we're not fluent yet. Maybe we're missing some of the nuances or not really paying attention to the messages we're sending and receiving.
Exactly. And that's where the RAH Color test comes in. It helps us become more conscious of our relationship with color, to fine-tune our understanding of this powerful language.
The more you practice, the more confident you'll become in expressing yourself through color.
This whole conversation has been such a fascinating journey. We've explored the science, the psychology, and the practical applications of color, and honestly, I'm feeling really inspired to take all of this knowledge and start creating a more colorful and fulfilling life for myself. But before we wrap up, I have to ask one last question. If you could leave our listeners with just one piece of advice, one color-infused nugget of wisdom, what would it be?
Embrace the power of color. Don't let trends dictate your choices. Trust your instincts, explore your preferences, and use color as a tool to express your unique personality and create a world that feels authentically you.
I love that. Embrace the power of color. And don't forget to check out that RAH Color test when the digital platform launches in January 2025. It's a game changer, folks. Until then, keep those colors vibrant and keep diving deep.